And for more on how the hockey community is responding to this tragedy, we're joined now by Ron MacLean. He's the host, of course, of Hockey Night in Canada. Thank you for being here with us today to look deeper into this issue that happened. What went through your mind? Let's start with that. What was your initial reaction when you heard this news?
Oh, sure, horror, Aarti. Obviously, I think the whole of the country is feeling the very same way. I just wanted to reach out and hold the people in Humboldt, try to support them in silence, of course, if possible, to just sit and listen and feel the pain and share the pain and provide a little bit of loving support. We all, as Canadians, understand, what it's like to have your child looking out the window of a bus, dreaming of the National Hockey League career or an Olympic hockey career in the case of the women, and just so heartbroken. And that was my thought, and I really, to see Sheldon speak to it. I obviously go back to the 86 bus crash, December 30th, 1986. Lisa Culp was a woman driving home from the interior of BC in the vehicle behind that bus and was the first person on the scene. And she held the hand of Trent Cressy, who died in that crash. Didn't even know who he was, got back in her car when all the police and ambulances arrived and moved on to Moose Jaw. 21 years later, she sought out the broadcaster from back in the day to find out more about the man whose hand she'd held. And I mean, it never leaves you. You will have the details are emerging very slowly, naturally, because honestly, the thing about Aarti, a bus, the players put their wallets in bags under the seat or in the overhead bins. The boys had all dyed their hair for the playoffs, beautiful golden hair, and so you can just imagine the chaos for the poor first responders. Heart goes out to the families, heart goes out to the first responders.
And a lot of what we're hearing too from, for example, members of the community, the president of the team who had a press conference earlier, just saying that we are a family. And you said that, you came up through this sort of network of small town hockey. What is it like? These people, they viewed themselves as brothers, as family members.
Well, and while the players are looking out the window dreaming of the NHL, I, as a young broadcaster in the 80s, was looking out the window thinking of making it to Hockey Night in Canada. I can remember looking at all the farms and the lights on the homes and thinking, I wonder if the folks in that house can hear our Red Deer Rustler broadcast on CKRD, and I thought, aren't the folks at Hockey Night in Canada lucky, because their broadcast goes into every nook and cranny of the country. And Tyler Bieber is the reporter with the Humboldt Broncos, God love him. I mean, I remember, Aarti, when we would drive home from the game, I would always stand in the wheel well. Cliff was the driver, and I would stand in the wheel well by the front door and talk to the head coach, Win Dempster. I mean, it was so precarious, and poor Cliff was driving in those awful conditions night after night, but we didn't think about it, right? But I had that dream, and the players have that dream, and I was thinking, I hope they clip the hair of the boys. There's, you won't know if that hair, that rosewater, beautiful hair that you have as a scent, as a memory for all time. But if you could have one of the golden locks of those boys and the team, that would be your chance at intimacy. That would be your chance at the secret of a team is that love, right? And it's so apparent in that picture you have there. That really struck me. The two things that really struck me were the carnage and the shocking prairie blue sky, and the boys, living out their fantasy, and all the people behind that dream, and then that hair. I just love for them to have a lock of that golden hair.
You were speaking about 1986. This is something that you, of course, remember. You had just started, I believe, with Hockey Night in Canada at the time. And how do you imagine this will continue to impact this community, given the fact that you recounted that 1986 bus crash as if it happened yesterday?
Well, Bob Harriman was the first officer on site for the RCMP, and he was actually billeting one of the boys on the bus, Bob Wilkie, who thankfully survived that crash. My father was RCMP, so I remember when he would deal with the officers on the highways and go through that. So what Sheldon said is very important. Going down the road, we always have the ability to recharge. It's amazing how we can recover, and we need to know that. We need to have the hope of that, but it'll be incumbent on all of us. We're sending our hugs now, but those hugs have to continue. I think, Don and I haven't even spoken to Don Cherry as we do this, but plan will be to try and get to Humboldt tomorrow for sure, and try to get over to the hospital in Saskatoon. And then I hope, again, I'm speaking out of school here, but it's just what you want, is Rogers Hometown Hockey can get to Humboldt next year, and we just continue to be there to hold their hand. Really, that's from here on in, it's the whole of the country. Just want to put our hand on our shoulder or embrace everyone and give them that confidence that, they will find a way. out of this.
And I just want to ask you one final question. One of our reporters who was in the community was saying that following that crash and the news of the crash coming through the community, he went to the ice rink and people were just sitting there in silence.
Yes. You know, I think the rink is a great symbol. I think Canada's an endless arena. I honestly feel it's filled with stores of energy and hope. Rinks are filled with hope. There is no class in an arena. That's what makes it so beautiful, is that we all come together and shed our titles and shed our money and shed everything else, and we do it for one another. It is the essence of love, that game. It is the communal perfect place, the arena. It's why they went there last night. It's why we will convene there tomorrow evening. And from here on in, there will be some solace, some comfort every time we go to the arena.
Ron, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us your thoughts. That is Ron MacLean, the host of Hockey Night in Canada. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Aarti.